Okay, and welcome. Let's see if we have sound here before I get too started. Uh, Glad to see everyone in here. It is a Sunday night, so if you're here live, it's got that Sunday night energy. I'm pretty slow, but otherwise, if you're on the replay, welcome to the replay, and please leave some comments down below, etc. So before we get started, let me say hello to everyone in here. I'm so appreciative of everyone who is watching, and I sure don't want to miss anyone. Okay, but so glad to see you all here. Please hit the like while you're here, and maybe we'll get the algorithm going, get some more people here. We're going to learn a few little things tonight, and it'll be interesting. Promise you that. All right, so we're saying hello to Miss Kay from Wisconsin. Hello, Miss Kay. And Sean Stewart. Welcome, Sean Stewart. Um, There we go. I'll put that up there. It's a good one. And welcome, Woman Doing, Teresa, Fur Baby Dad, and Monday, Sarah, Five Green Acres, Indy Cindy, Tinkerbell, Calipolis Effect, Stephanie, Kayla, Crystal Blue, Pam Sheehan, Rebecca Ann 1965, Peaches, Mark Ellis, Niobe, and Blue Moon, Don McKenzie, Mary Martin, Laura, Digital, Carla Ann, Five Green Acres, I may have already said hello, Corner Piece, Spike Dog, Who's Your Daddy, Sheila Bridges, Jeremiah Grady, Mino Dino, Sweet Dude Shibby, and Heather Brown, Digital, all right, Housebroken. Who else is in here? It's a new day. What's up? Violence is the answer, allegedly. Um, Nature Loving Lady, what's up? Marianne Foster. Okay. Miss Johns now. Miss John Snow. Shotgun Susie. Brenda Mays. Super Psyched. Sharon Epperson. Bonnie. Nobody Nothing 1717. All right. What's up, everybody? I'm so glad to see you in here, all my regulars. Karen Jones. Malibu. Denise Russell. Unleashed Rainbow. New Passenger 33. Kay. All right. Warline. What's up, Warline? Andre, what's up? All right. All right. So, everyone in here, yo, anyone in the Lurker crew, join the chat. It's nice in the chat. Listen, tonight, feel free to have at it in the chat. I'm going to do a lot of reading. So, we'll be doing some reading. I'll be adding my commentary, and then we'll be doing discussion afterwards. So, enjoy the chat. I'll honestly tell you, I'm not feeling well at all. I'm so loaded up on Benadryl, it's unbelievable. And because of that, I'm dehydrated. And, my lips are all chapped. I'm all dehydrated out the wazoo. So really not feeling good at all, but that's me. I hope you're feeling great. But it's been like that for me lately. So enough said. So why, Prof? So why? Why West Memphis 3? Well, it's interesting. It's really interesting. I've been observing a little something, and we're going to be getting into that. And you're going to understand why there are reasons why I'd want to discuss it and discuss its connection to Delphi, because there is a connection, but it's sort of an unexpected connection. But it's what drew me to it in the first place. And so we'll be talking about that. And I hope that all of you will understand what I'm saying. But before we get too into the details, let me begin by just giving a brief introduction. And as I said, I ask you all to enjoy the chat. Okay, all you lurkers, enjoy the chat. Hit the like. Everyone, please hit the like, join the chat, enjoy the chat, etc. Okay. On May 5th, 1993, it's a time when Prof was still in school. My kids were not even dreamed of yet. And say is an interesting time for the people of the United States, for sure. I remember those times, the early 90s. It was something else. This is all before 9/11, before the so-called war on terror, before George Bush and the Patriot Act and COVID and all of the things that we've been subjected to. 1993, a beautiful day. On this day in 1993, West Memphis is located in Critton County of the United States. There were three kids, okay? 8-year-olds, 8-year-olds getting ready at their homes to go out and play. These boys were elementary school students, and they were Boy Scouts. Okay, they were Boy Scouts. So these three Boy Scouts were just being kids, right? Now, there was Stevie Branch, okay, born in November of '84. His mother had divorced his father and married a Terry Hobbs. And he had a little sister. Okay. There was another boy named Christopher Bowers. He was born also in '84, and his parents were also divorced, and his mother remarried. And there was Michael James Moore. Okay. Now, he had an older sister. And from what I'm understanding, he was wearing a Boy Scouts uniform, you know. So anyway, the three boys headed towards Robin Hood Hills, where they played in that afternoon. But around dark, around 6:30 p.m., around dark, the boys came up missing. Okay, they didn't come home, and the authorities began an immediate search. And here is where we begin the parallels with Delphi, believe it or not. Okay. Now, it was a wooded area. There's a body of water, and so it's night, and the families and neighbors, etc., carry out a search. Um, well, they're not able to find these children all night. Okay. At break of dawn the next day, the police started a more comprehensive search, and it was led by the search and rescue personnel of Crittenden County, searching every corner of the woods. And very interestingly, the search lasted quite a while until 1:45 p.m. Officer Steve Jones spotted a shoe floating in the creek. Now, keep in mind that where I'm going is that there's a problem here. Multiple victims. Okay, you got multiple victims. Lost in the woods, missing all night. There's a creek. A shoe is the breadcrumb that leads them to these boys, and you're going to be amazed at what happened. So the officers started searching the area downstream of the ditch, where they encountered the most shocking sight of their lives, which is the lifeless bodies of three children at the bottom of a lake, having been tied hand to foot with their own shoelaces right hand to right foot, left hand to left foot. Two of the boys had bruises head to toe, basically. Um, Christopher, on the other hand, he had bruises and cuts all over his body. And unfortunately, he had some sort of sexual trauma and bite marks, etc. I would say clearly the center of this tragedy, just like Liberty German was in Delphi, a focal point, so to speak. No one could understand the magnitude of this crime, perpetuated with a cruelty that transcended human limits. Um, Interestingly, they also found the children's clothing, most of the children's clothing, uh, also down in the bottom of this creek or body of water. Uh, Remember, at this point, the forensics were not what they are today. Um, Now, unfortunately, similar to the Flora girls, the bodies were moved before the proper forensic analysts or scientists had come to the area to retrieve them. So there was some contamination. There were also cigarette butts from some of the officers smoking and trashing around the area. It was terrible. Okay, it was terrible. It was totally contaminated. With the chief of police primarily also ditching cigarette butts. But moving right along, the autopsies proved that Christopher died from all the multiple wounds that caused him to bleed out, while Stevie and Michael died from the drowning. And unfortunately, the hypothesis of sexual abuse was discarded because I believe it wasn't looked at properly. But speculation began about the possibility that the children had been attacked in the woods and then murdered right at the ditch or the body of water. Christopher's autopsy, though, stood out from the rest because he was the only victim with drugs present. But I would remind you that he was on Ritalin because of an ADD or ADHD diagnosis. So there are some questions about the level of medications in his body, but well, whatever on that. I don't think there's maybe there's a cumulative effect. I don't really have a big conspiracy theory on that. The clothes were tied down to sticks to weigh them down to the bottom of the water, and but unfortunately there seems to be some underwear missing. Um, anyway, the case was disturbing, and the townspeople grew anxious um, and were pressuring the police. Okay, they were wanting a quick fix, an easy solution, a I guess you're basically dealing with a bloodthirst, okay, just like or bloodlust, just like Delphi. There's going to be a lot of parallels to Delphi here. Um, it seemed like they wanted someone to pay. Obviously, you would. Um, Now, a potential suspect was a teenager. We're going to go through the suspects and what happened, et cetera, et cetera. But Damian Eccles was 18 years old and had a substantial record of offenses that were minor. Basically, in a small town, he was known as a ne'er do well, bad boy. He was 18 and he had vandalization, theft. He was a high school dropout, institutionalized due to mental health issues. Um, the police kind of zeroed in on him as a scapegoat early on, and rightfully so. I mean, you look at the most likely suspects. Um, he had a an interest in heavy metal and pagan religion, sort of, kind of gothic, if you would want to call it that, or metal, with black hair, black clothes, poor, you know. Um, but on May 7th, 1993, he was interrogated for the first time and denied knowing anything about these murdered children and having anything to do with the case. He even agreed to a polygraph test, which suggested that he was innocent. Okay, but of course the suspicions persisted, and even though no evidence against him, the media and the entire town were really breathing down his throat, or looking at him and pointing the finger and wanting blood. You understand? Um, well, there was a even though there's not enough evidence in all of this, the case manager of Bojangles, um, or the manager of Bojangles, um, which was a local restaurant, contacted the police for a second time after seeing the case on television and believed there might be an incident or connection to an incident that occurred at his restaurant on May 5th, near where the bodies were discovered on the night of May 5th. Okay. So this is the day of the children's disappearance. Okay. And he called the West Memphis police to report a strange incident with a man with brown hair who had entered the restaurant covered in mud and blood. Now, muddy and bloody, oddly enough. Okay. Somewhat bruised, maybe a little disoriented, maybe doped out of his mind. I don't know. But he went on into the bathroom, and a few minutes later left. And when the employees went into the women's bathroom, they saw that there was blood smeared all over the walls. So the officer who responded was a female officer, and she didn't even care to come into the restaurant and investigate the blood smeared on the wall, et cetera, et cetera. She just drove through the drive-through. Okay, asked a few questions, and left. Well, the manager called again, another call to detective, and I think it's Brian Ridge and Mike Allen, um, and they returned to the restaurant this time, and they got the evidence from the blood, and kind of sent them to a crime lab. There was no real big investigation done, um, but later they declared that they lost the lead, or lost the evidence, and this lost evidence led this to be dismissed. Okay, this lead was dismissed, and the prosecutor argued it was completely absurd to think that the person who committed the murders uh, and took care to drown the bodies or hide the bodies and weigh down the clothes, etc., that that person would walk through the public muddy and bloody and go on into a public restaurant, um, and also speculated that it would be unlikely that one person would have killed these three boys all alone. So these desperate police began to believe, or really hone in on the fact that Eccles had committed this crime. Okay, and so they interrogated. Sorry, I have to take a look at something. So they interrogated Jesse Miscali. Okay, now this was a young man who had some mental problems. Okay, he was 16, I believe, year old with a mental disability. They brought him in, interrogated him for 12 hours without his parents, without an attorney, and during the course of this lengthy, certainly it was a what do you call the technique? The read technique. You know, they were certainly these officers were pushing hard on this young man because they managed after the 12 hours without an attorney or his parents to get this 16-year-old to begin to agree that he was guilty. Okay. Now remember, I recently described to you a case in which there was another man brought in for the murder of his father who happened to just still be alive and at an airport, who was interrogated for 16 hours and confessed to the murder of his father uh, after this read technique for 16 hours. Well, this young man, not nearly a grown adult, um, just after 12 hours, was already agreeing and implicating himself. Um, he was implicating himself and the other two eventual suspects, which was Damian Eccles and Charles Baldwin. Okay. Now, his statement was inconsistent with the forensic evidence. He had no connection to Eccles, and he even described the boys being tied up with industrial type ropes, even though they were tied with their own shoestrings or shoelaces. Um, Now, after this interrogation, he immediately retracted this statement and provided an alibi. Uh, but no matter, police had already decided that this was as close as they were going to get. It was solid evidence. It was a very convenient bunch to believe that had committed this crime. They all fit the profile. Um, Sorry for these notifications. I thought I muted this, but I didn't. Okay, do not disturb. Um, but basically, you had three perfect suspects now. Okay, three perfect suspects. Um, Now, there was a media frenzy, okay, that happened because remember I said that you had the metal, you had the black clothing. Um, the authorities began to paint these three young men as outcasts who committed the murders as part of a satanic ritual. Uh, when Eccles' home was searched, they found a book with a pentagram on the cover. Immediately, this was sufficient evidence to to accuse him of a triple homicide and that he was in a satanic cult involved in black magic, and this was enough that that's what happened with these particular boys against these particular children. Okay. Um, Now people began to come out of the woodwork and insinuate that they had knowledge of these boys being in different scenarios that would be likely to lead to this sort of thing, similar to what we saw in Delphi and the some of the Frank's memorandum individuals. I mean, it's a long story. We'll get to the discussion afterwards. Okay. All right. But there was this whole thing where various witnesses came around and said these guys are a cult and part of a cult, and we've seen them doing things, and so the whole momentum of this thing started pushing in the direction that that they had killed these boys. Okay. So they were all arrested on June 3rd. Um, Jesse was tried separately from the other two, accused of providing several statements that did not match the facts. The trial was heated, and an expert on false confessions, okay, start to understand. Excuse me. The false confessions are an expert on false confessions stated that the young man suffered from police coercion. Remember, 16-year-old with mental issues, interrogated for 12 hours using Reed technique. Um, they took advantage of his mental condition. Okay. However, the whole thing went steam straight forward ahead, and they were going. They went ahead and were convicted, and the good old judge did not take any of this into consideration, even when sentencing. Okay. Now, part of the evidence used against Eccles and Baldwin were Stephen King books, uh, metal band flags, and song lyrics. Okay. Um, a knife was presented as evidence of Baldwin's guilt, along with fibers, but none of these could be proven, uh, and it was all circumstantial. Okay. They were not given the right to appeal. Much of the evidence that the defense attorneys hoped to present was excluded from by the judge. Okay. Eccles was sentenced to death by lethal injection for being the mastermind, while Baldwin was sentenced to life imprisonment. When asked if there was any reason why the sentence should not be pronounced, Baldwin reaffirmed his innocence again. Um, the execution date was scheduled for May 5th, 1994, but uh, nothing was that simple, and the victims' families believed the sentence had been handed down too quickly. There were unresolved issues which began the most immediate part. Immediately, the case started attracting media attention. Okay. Well, unexpectedly, people started to step forward. And this is going to be another parallel that I'm predicting is going to parallel the Delphi murders. Um, not just the public, but media figures and celebrities started to step forward. Okay. In particular, uh, Pearl Jam's Eddie Vedder. Okay. Um, Natalie Maines from the Dixie Chicks, the trio Corrosion of Conformity uh, included a song. So lots of musicians, actors, Johnny Depp, film directors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Hollywood and the music industry. Lots of people started coming together. to advocate for their innocence and their railroading, to put it in a way that we can resonate with Delphi. In 2007, with significantly more advanced technology, new DNA tests were conducted. The test showed that there was no trace whatsoever of the three accused on the bodies of the children, and the bite marks also did not match. Most shockingly, the results suggested a presence of other individuals at the crime scene. Okay. For instance, the DNA of Terry Hobbs, remember the stepfather, um, was found on the shoelaces of Michael Moore. Steve Branch's stepfather had a criminal record and was known in town for having a long history of mistreatment, including assaulting his wife, hitting the minors, attacking neighbors. There's another hair found near the crime scene on a tree stump consistent with the DNA of a friend of Hobbs named David Jacob. Both claim to have been together on the night of the murders. So, in other words, each other's alibi. Hobbs emphasized he believed the guilty parties were behind bars. Now, here's where a twist comes, because various witnesses started to come forward, including three who presented sworn affidavits claiming they saw Hobbs with the children on the night they disappeared. Now, police never followed up with this, but media started to sniff this out. Okay, Peter Jackson, renowned director, began a documentary with the goal of reconstructing, pointing at Hobbs. New testimonies were connected. Michael Moore's mother claimed she saw Hobbs washing clothes the night of the murders, cleaning mud off his clothes. Cherished pocket knife belonging to Stevie was later found among Hobbs' possessions, and three young men claimed that a nephew of Hobbs told them his uncle had been the murderer. But it was a family secret, secret of secrets, secret among secrets. The victims' families began to diverge. The stepfather of Christopher started to suspect Hobbs, even calling him a child murderer. Todd Moore believed that the evidence against Hobbs was not convincing, but pointed out that his son spent a lot of time at Stevie's house and could have easily picked up hair with DNA on his shoelaces, blah, blah, blah. One of those occasions, a tipping point came with the appearance of Vicki Hutcherson, who admitted she had agreed to collaborate with police in exchange for a $30,000 reward. She was supposed to provide false information to implicate Eccles. This revelation indicated it was time to redeem the West Memphis Three. In 2010, 17 years after the crime, Arkansas Supreme Court ordered that DNA evidence must lead to a new trial. Well, the West Memphis Three came to an agreement with the prosecutor, adhering to the offered plea, which allowed them to assert their innocence while acknowledging that the prosecution had enough evidence to convict them. On August 19, 2011, they were released on a suspended sentence of 10 years after having spent 18 fucking years in prison. However, they remained on probation and could be incarcerated again for more than 21 years if they reoffend. Okay, the procedure has allowed them to freely express that they are innocent, even though their official records still list them as guilty. In interviews given after their release, Baldwin stated that he had been reluctant to plead guilty to these crimes because he did not want Eccles to receive the death penalty. So you understand what I'm saying here? To save the life of Eccles, he was reluctant to plead guilty. Okay, but he did so. Although the families of the two victims came to believe that the trio was innocent, the families, well, I should say, two of the three families began to believe that these gentlemen were innocent, not guilty. a scandal began, okay, which we are now facing today, and we're going to be getting into that. Um, Now, interestingly, in 2013, a new version of this story emerged. Just a moment, I'll tell you. Look, give me a second. Oh, don't even. Sorry, I had to get some gum, but you just wait. We haven't even touched on Delphi yet. Anyhow, remember what we're saying here. 1993, okay? 1993, and we're talking about 2013. Billy Wayne Stewart, a drug dealer, convicted felon. Um, a story came through Buddy Lucas from the town. Buddy had gone out with Terry Hobbs and David Jacob and his friend John Mark Byers to buy dope from Stewart. They got in the Hobbs truck, drove around, smoking, drinking, having a good old time. When they reached a wooded area, Hobbs asked the two teenagers to get out and fight. Right? Now, it gets a little complicated because I don't want to get into the sexual aspect of this, but basically, asked the teenagers to fight, sort of in a fetish way, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay. Um, there may have been some sexual activity, is what I'm saying. Well, it was just during this height of tension, of emotion. You understand? This escalation of energy. At this moment, when all of this intense energy is going on, turns out the three little boys entered the picture. They realize that they've stumbled into something they shouldn't have seen. I'm sure there are details that we can get into in a future episode, but basically, all hell breaks loose. The young boys are attacked. There's mutilation of Christopher's genitals. The other boys saw too much. The other little boys saw too much. So they had to go too. I mean, it's almost a carbon copy of Delphi. So the other two boys were drowned. They were all disposed of in the water. Bicycles were thrown in the water. Clothing was thrown in the water. All right. According to Stewart, when he tried to call the West Memphis PD and tell them, they didn't even bother to return his calls. Now, all of this information right now is open source public information. However, the case remains closed. Because of the Alford plea, these three suspects remain technically guilty. Killers remain free. It's pretty clear that it's probably more convenient to allow things to stay where they are rather than reopen this terrible can of worms. Now, we'll be getting into the chat because I like to talk to you. Connection to Delphi. Here's what I think. Your troll farm creators only do things for PR purposes. Okay? Is that clear to all of you? Your troll farm is a PR campaign to cover up the murders of Abby and Libby. Okay? So, I took a look at this and I said, why is the troll farm pushing West Memphis 3 is guilty? Okay? Damian, Jesse, Baldwin. Why would Troll Farm be pushing that they are guilty? And it started to occur to me. I see. It's because of the parallels to the way Delphi was handled. Delphi, you had the railroading of an innocent person. West Memphis 3, you have the railroading of innocent. The railroading of an innocent mean the true killers go free. The railroading of innocent, I mean, true killers go free. The defense was not allowed to present a defense. Okay, defense was not allowed to present a defense. Okay, so this justifies that action. This normalizes corruption, railroading, obstruction of justice, the disallowing of a defense. You see, I wasn't going to say it, but I'll say it. Everywhere from the search, the way the search, think of all the parallels, okay? Little kids go missing in the woods. There's an overnight search, bodies are not found. When the bodies are found, it's in the day. There's a breadcrumb called a shoe, which leads them directly to the bodies. You've got innocent kids killed because they saw something they shouldn't have, which is what I believe happened to Delphi. You've got potential involvement of a family member, which is what I believe happened to Delphi. You've got the intentional blaming of weird people, which is what I believe was attempted with Delphi. Remember, Becky Patty was the first to point at Brad Holder. When you're scanning the Delphi landscape, you're going to find two extremes. You're going to find those saying, Richard Allen is the lone wolf killer. He did it. It's only him. He's the killer. It's done. That's Trofarm. Then you're going to find on this hand, you're going to find it's Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, and Elvis Fields. It's an Odinist cult. They killed the girls. No one else. It's them. It's satanic. Okay? Cult. So you got lone wolf killer, murderer, or satanic panic. The way I look at it, both are troll farm. Because neither addressed the obvious elephant in the room, which is methamphetamine, human trafficking, criminal underworld. Now, what does this mean? I believe that everything about the Delphi murders has to do with Derek German, Gabe Ellis, and everyone between the two. Girls, guys, family members, the suppliers, runners, Smurfs, recipients. Now, here's the deal. If all of that is true, could you have some of the guys from the Frank's memorandum involved in a situation? Yes. Doesn't mean it's only a Odinist sacrifice of two little girls. Could you have Richard Allen involved in this situation? Yes. Doesn't mean it's only Richard Allen, lone wolf killer, sexual predator. Could be that Richard Allen knew these people because of some reasons, whether it be JC's bar, whether it be supplying pseudoephedrine to the meth cooks or the Smurfs, who then got it to the cooks. Okay? So I look at Delphi as rather complicated. Rather complicated. Exponentially more complicated than West Memphis 3. Now, let's bring it back to where I said those boys saw something they shouldn't have. Well, I've always said, remember Carrie's words. Maybe they saw something they shouldn't have, and someone decided to do something or deal with it. Remember Eric Williams' words. Those girls walked into a meth lab. One of the CIs went crazy and killed them. Remember Libretto's words. Two dead girls. One was killed, one was sacrificed. So, like I said, the way I look at Delphi is what can make all of that true? Well, it's a methamphetamine connection is what makes it all true. It's what ties everything together. It's the tie that binds. See, each of these people in particular are the leaves, and the meth is the vine. It's what ties everything together. Okay. So, how do you make sense of one was killed, one was sacrificed? Well, easy. One was killed. I believe that to be Abby. If the one who's then sacrificed saw the one killed, the one who was then sacrificed would be targeted to silence, just like these boys were in West Memphis. Okay, these two boys that saw the assault on the one boy, they had to be dispensed with. They were dispensed by drowning. Okay, well, I think with old Libby, I think Libby saw the murder of Abby, and then they had to dispense with Libby. And I believe the way that they did it was to sacrifice her. So, again, what's the connection to the West Memphis 3? Well, it's a troll farm. It's the justification of the railroading of the innocent to protect the guilty. It's the justification of the corrupt law enforcement. It's the justification of the disallowing of evidence. It's the justification of coerced confessions. And remember what I'm saying about Alan. That Alan, okay, Alan was not a mentally unstable 16-year-old. Alan was stronger than that. So what did they do to Alan to get the false confessions? Well, they put him in Westville, had the Odinist guards threaten to kill him on a daily basis and his family, and had the other inmates next to him threaten to kill him and his family on a daily basis. Everyone, all the time, all the while calling him a kid killer, likely depriving him of food and water while forcibly medicating him in solitary confinement. It took a lot, okay? But in time, they were able to get Alan into a position where he did comply in offering up incriminating evidence. And this is what I believe happened with West Memphis 3 with Jesse. Okay, but like I said, it took the 12 hours for a bunch of adults with the Reed technique to get a little 16-year-old to break. but it took 12 months with Alan. You understand? So we're dealing with levels of magnitudes of difference. What, like I referred to, that this is exponentially more complicated in Delphi. Obviously, Alan was exponentially more strong than Jesse in West Memphis. But what happens? What happens? The end game is the same. Okay, the end game was the same. You got self-incrimination, you got a cover up, you got dead kids, you got different motives for different deaths. Okay, I mean, just it's basically a carbon copy of Delphi. So I believe that some years ago, well, actually, I would say with the arrest of Richard Allen, when the troll farm realized what was going on with Richard Allen, they made an intentional effort to grab a hold of the West Memphis Three because it's a carbon copy type of crime and court case. Uh, that they would take the West Memphis Three and use it as a model to justify these sorts of things, so that it would dilute the power or potency of the atrocious crimes that we've witnessed with Richard Allen. So it's no wonder that the troll farm creators are focusing on the West Memphis Three. Now, the next thing you got to ask yourselves, why are they focusing on Evansdale? There's a reason. Very likely that Evansdale is a carbon copy of Delphi. And as I said, you have to keep in mind that everything the troll farm does is with intent and purpose. It's to serve the PR campaign. Notice that even clothes were missing from those little boys, just like clothes were missing from the girls in Delphi. So, what's the West Memphis 3 Delphi connection? Troll farm. That's the connection. Simple as that. Um, Telling you guys, you got to watch them. Well, you got to watch them like a hawk. You got to watch them like a hawk. Every fucking thing they do, there's a there's a deceptive reason they do it. Okay. Just a moment. My throat is killing me again. I'm going to try to get some more water. Okay, so in my opinion, if it's not already clear to you, Jesse, Damien, and Jason Baldwin, Charles Jason Baldwin, are innocent. The story that's been told is pretty fucking obvious, you know. Uh, Truth is out there. Now, if we could only get this truth with Delphi, we'd be awesome. We'd be set. Now, I'm ready for the chat. So now what we'll do, we'll read some of the chat. All right. So Andre, thank you, Andre. Oh dear, I think this case is those boys saw something. Yes. Yes, I think they saw. Obviously. And it's what I think happened with Abby and Libby. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, it's exactly like I said. It's a carbon copy. I literally believe it's pretty much a carbon copy case, which is why it was chosen by the troll farm to run as a PR campaign or a justifying the carbon. See, if they justify the carbon copy, it backs up the justifying of the Richard Allen. See. Now, what was I saying? I want to read the chat now. Okay. Corruption, and Ellie drops the ball in both cases. Okay. Yeah, and remember what happened too. The Supreme Court dealt with it to some extent. And is that what's going to have to happen with Delphi? Really? Like, not only did you get your baby daughter killed, but you got her little baby girl best friend killed too. Don't end up with the rest of your people's blood on your hands too. Media is absolutely involved. They never left, didn't hear the screams. Yeah, yeah. What about that? What about those horror screams? Horror screams. Horror scream. Okay, it's inconceivable. You got two missing little girls in that exact location. You got people out there allegedly searching. You hear horror screams called in. You do nothing about it. No, they can't keep their court story straight. No one ever has because, like I always say, the truth never changes. The lies are hard to remember. So they've lied from day one. So they've never been able to keep the story straight. Yes, I have an idea why Libby's were different because Libby was killed differently than Abby. My conspiracy theory at this moment is that Abby was blunt force trauma. Okay, I believe Abby was blunt force trauma, and I believe the wounding of the neck was part of the staging. I don't know if I've ever made that clear to my listeners, and I know I'm going to get beat up for it. I really don't care. I mean, fuck, you beat me up over everything else. I don't care. I don't care what you beat me up about. I believe Abby was blunt force trauma. She's then laid out there. She's stabbed in the neck surgically in order to make her wound match Libby's to some extent, which is a knife stabbing. Um, and I believe Libby was truly slaughtered the way that she appears to have been, which is by multiple wounds to the throat. Okay, that's my assumption. Okay, let's see if I can read some chat now. Why was Abby killed to start with? I've always thought it was accidentally. Okay, my conspiracy theory is Abby is wounded initially accidentally. It's my theory. She's then killed with the stab, the secondary wounding. Libby is killed intentionally. What's up, Birdie81? But all of this is tentative. Remember, we don't have enough evidence. Let me put this down and talk for a minute. I just want you all to remember one thing. None of us has had our eyes on the bulk of discovery. So everything we're discussing is tentative because of that. Remember, there's been an intentional obstruction or wall of secrecy built around this case. Therefore, we're all operating in the dark. You know, we've only had these gleanings from the surface of what the community has provided us. But be somewhat optimistic, because keep in mind that we will be learning more very soon as the gag orders lift and as the jurors come forward. Hopefully they will. We will be learning more and more and more, and possibly we'll get transcripts, and possibly we'll get investigators to come and talk to us. We will be learning. You don't doubt it. Okay, you don't worry. We will be learning more, and the more we learn, the more we can hone in and sharpen what the theories are. Because right now we're literally operating in a vacuum of information, but we're basically just spitballing or roughly speaking about the direction we're looking into, what it looks like based upon what we've gleaned over the years. So all of this is somewhat still speculative because of that. But I mean, just let's be very clear. The evidence and the trial against Richard Allen was extremely uncompelling. Okay, so based upon what we've learned from the trial of Richard Allen, we believe we've seen manufactured evidence, we've seen twisted evidence, twisted witness statements, compromised witnesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the case against Richard Allen seems to be virtually non-existent, which is why it's not compelling. What's much more compelling are some of the facts we've gleaned over the years, which point in the direction of Gabe Ellis, some family members, methamphetamine, some deal to do with the Kokomo guys and the fucking meth game and Derek German. That's what's more compelling, even at this early stage in the game when we don't have any information. So, did y'all see there was a body found in the river up in Carroll County, and Dan fucking Doolin was asking for the public's help? No way. If anyone comes forward in that town after what they did to Richard Allen, they a damn fool. Yeah. No, it's been a complete shit show. Listen, on yesterday's show or day before, I scolded Doug Carter, and I'm going to continue to until he makes things right, because Doug Carter has not given Abby and Libby justice. He's allowed this to all play out. There's some strategy he's working on. We need to see the fruits of that, because at this point, it looks like he's gone right along with the whole railroading and cover up. Okay, there's no way we'll ever believe Richard Allen did this with the lack of evidence that you've presented. In addition, there's such compelling evidence that these other parties were much more likely involved, including some unknown parties to us. You've had an easy 70 days of investigation completely deleted. You don't know who you interviewed. You don't know what was said. You don't know what was produced as a result of that. You don't know who was cleared as a result of that. 70 days, the marathon footage. You have witnesses you didn't believe, witnesses you did believe. You had people you wouldn't even take witness statements from. There were many people who tried to tip in and call in tips, who found combative personalities on the other ends of the phone lines. You conveniently got Kathy Shank, a family friend and a Tony Liggett friend, to be the person who finds the bombshell Richard Allen tip that said cleared. It just happens to be a Patty friend and a Liggett friend. There's way too much that just doesn't add up. If you wanted people to believe it and you wanted things to go away, it had to be done better than this. This cover up was exercised so poorly that it's not convincing and no one's buying it. I mean, if we want to discuss the connection to the West Memphis 3, that was much more compelling. That cover up, that railroading, that evidence was much more compelling than this Richard Allen case. I mean, you really fucked up. 70 days, completely deleted. Marathon footage, completely gone. No dumps from the cell phones of the family whatsoever. You had Kelsey deleting things from the victim's phone. Really? Shit. You've had all kind of third-party confessions around the Delphi murders. You've got that geofencing, which shows 3 phones in and around the crime scene at the time you allege these murders were taking place. You've got conflicts from the likes of Robert Ives, who says, if this was in 1960, this crime would have been solved immediately. You've got Robert Ives saying these girls were found so immediately after they were killed. What does immediately mean? You allege that those bodies were there for 22 hours on that small parcel of land and not discovered for 22 hours with professional searchers? You have helicopter footage of 2 helicopters flying over the crime scene. Multiple people in the water. A ton of vehicles in the cemetery, which assumes that they would have walked down to that crime scene. And you're telling me no one found those bodies until 12:17 p.m.? That crime scene is at the end of a trail. One of 2 trails. And you expect people to believe that hundreds of people were there. Or how about this? You immediately, a ton of FBI agents, overwhelming in numbers, came in. And you want to believe that when you had a crime that in 1960 would have been solved within days, like Robert Ives said, and you had a ton of FBI come in there immediately. See, something ain't making sense. Just like all of the digital data. There's too much that doesn't make sense. There's absolutely no way that any of it happened. I mean, the bottom line with Delphi, the reason people don't believe it is because it's absolutely an impossibility. You know what I think you did? I think someone intentionally sabotaged the DNA evidence. What, did you put it in the microwave? Did you leave it out in the sunlight for 48 hours? Or did you, I don't know, take it and mix it with a bunch of others' DNA? What did you do to sabotage the DNA evidence? Why were you not looking at a female POI when there's potential that females were involved in the murders of Abby and Libby? You tried to withhold Kevin Horan. You tried to withhold Jeffrey Turco. You tried to discredit or discount Greg Ferenczi, who was then murdered by a white supremacist. Todd Click, who was set up and arrested by you criminals, and Kevin Murphy. You had Amber Holder implicating Pat Westphal. You had Taylor Hornady implicating Johnny Messer. You had Elvis Field's sisters, both of them, implicating Elvis. You had Stephanie Thompson murdered, allegedly, when she was the one who would have reason to know all the truth about the Delphi murders because she was a polygraph examiner. You kill and burn up anyone in the entire region who doesn't go with the flow. What do you think we believe happened? You know, it's obvious that we believe Nicole Bowen was killed because of the Delphi murders and possibly Ray Hanish. How many judges have you killed? And do you think it's believable that Curtis Fouts and Benjamin Diener, you think they are believable? Like Curtis Fouts and Benjamin Diener are not believable to the general public whatsoever. Not credible, not believable, suspicious. The Judge Gull's behavior, her decisions, in every way, highly questionable. I mean, what it looks like to the general public is you have law enforcement and the judges completely corrupted and under your control to cover up the murders of Abby and Libby. Now, what on earth would be worth all that? What kind of crime could we be looking at where it would be worth all of that? That's a lot. That's a lot. You had Richard Allen, and the family's okay with it. So you're trying to tell me that no one in this family, yes, I'm talking about Patty's and Marchand. Are you telling me that no one in the Patty family, no one in the Williams family, no one in the Marchand family knew about Richard Allen, knew Richard Allen? There's evidence to the contrary. See, it's not believable. Is the point I'm getting at? Is this is not? It's just ultimately not believable. It's ultimately unbelievable. And remember, there are people who've been watching this from day one who find it unbelievable. We know this. You've got an entire contingent of people on the internet gatekeeping, harassing, shilling, protecting, and attacking on your behalf. So not only do you control the judges, you control the law enforcement, you control the families, and you control the internet around the murder of two little girls? Something's just right. They would have been found that night. They would have been found immediately. Look, let's not kid ourselves here. You guys, I've said many times and I really mean it. Look, I don't want any money to go to Delphi for tourism. I don't want murder tourism. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm saying this. It's incumbent upon you to go out there to see for yourself how unlikely it is that those girls would have ever been missed. Remember, there were 22 hours or so. Several hours of daylight on the 13th, and then many hours of daylight on the 14th, not to mention the overnight hours. The one trail leads right down to where those girls were found. It's the only trail. Okay, let me put it this way. You got one trail which goes over to Ron Logan's, and then you got the bridge. We're not talking about 15 trails here. We're not even talking about two trails in the woods. We're talking about one trail in the woods that goes directly to where those girls were found. So if you're checking the bridge, why doesn't anyone, if you had 100 fucking searchers or hundreds, grown men, volunteer firemen, police officers, search and rescue, someone with a dog, not one person says, hey, I'm going to go down this trail and through this ravine and check out Ron Logan's because this is a natural path of least resistance. It's a fucking trail. If those girls didn't go across the bridge, maybe they went into the woods on this trail. So I'll just go follow this trail down into the woods. You've got to be kidding me that no one would do that and walk right on top of those bodies. Especially considering you're not talking about 22 hours of darkness. You're talking about many hours of daylight. On the 13th, a few, and on the 14th, a bunch more. It's incumbent upon you to walk your ass out there and see what you think you would see. Just don't spend any money in Delphi, okay? Go over there, fill up a couple hours away. Don't give them your gas money either. Drive out to Delphi, go walk down around Logan's or the ravine, and then turn back around and drive your ass out of there and go fill back up 2 hours away or something. You can go see for yourself without spending your money in Carroll County. Because if you do, you'll immediately know those girls would have never been missed. And if those girls would have never been missed, then the question arises, how were they missed? Or were they missed? Plus, they don't find them till noon. Yeah, that's what I mean. Even if sun only rose at 7 or 8 or 9, whatever time the sun fucking rose, doesn't make sense. You're not going to not find them till noon. Come on. Like, let's be real. You got to be realistic if you're going to talk about murders of 2 little kids. All right. Your theory of a CI being responsible, therefore cover up, makes more sense than what they tried to sell us. Yeah, it's not my theory. It's Eric Williams. I mean, and a bunch of others who've looked at it. All right. Libby was angry and hurtful. Yes, it was spiteful. It was horrible, horrific. Which one of the girls might have been pregnant? Either of them, both of them. I think either is likely, equally as likely to have been pregnant. All right. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Doug Carter needs to tell us the story. He said he couldn't wait to. It's a fascinating tale. I can't wait to tell you. Oh, yeah. I can't wait to tell you. Now would be a good time, Doug Carter. We need to know. The public will not stop asking these questions. I mean, it just won't. It's just the questions are too obvious. Mm. Doug Carter knows things. He tried to outsmart the killers, but his plan didn't work. Ellie are expected to be transparency to ensure accountability. This is what happens when you deny public access to everything. Remember what I said. Remember the uh, the intentional wall of secrecy that's been set up around this case. It's not for no reason. Okay, it's not for nothing. Why do you think we didn't get cameras in the courtroom? I mean, it's blatantly obvious why we didn't get them. Okay. What's up, criminal network? The area was never searched. That's why they did not find the girls. No, I think it's opposite. I think it's opposite. I think the area was well searched. Well, no, not well searched. I think the girls were not there at the time it was well searched. Then I think a perimeter was established, during which time people were kept out and the bodies were then brought there, or the body of one was brought there and the other was alive brought there, and they killed her right there. And that's Libby. And it's obvious they killed Libby there. If anyone says they didn't kill Libby there, that's a conspiracy theorist, because the evidence has been produced that yes, Libby was killed there in that spot. There is evidence to prove that. There is not evidence to prove that Abby was killed in that spot. There is evidence to prove that Abby may have been stabbed in the side of the neck in that spot. Okay. Pat Brown was parked in the cemetery till early that morning. Yes. The Browns. You'll be learning more about the Browns. Just you hold on to your little pants. Nobody found the bodies because everybody met up at the fire station, and Patty claims he set up a grid. Conveniently, firefighters were stopping people from searching certain areas. That's what I mean. Is the search the crime? And are the searchers the criminals? And are the witnesses the lookouts? So I think it gets very easy to conceive of this crime if you start labeling things differently. Witnesses, lookouts. Searchers, criminals. Oh, meth heads, killers. That's what I'm saying, criminal network. It's like for me, maybe I didn't explain it good enough for you guys. If you look at the helicopter footage, in my opinion, something doesn't add up. Okay. Look at the number of cars that are parked in that cemetery. Okay, that's first point. Second point, keep in mind that the cemetery is the nearest point of access to the crime scene or the place the bodies were found. Okay, so you have all those cars in the cemetery, which you would assume are full of law enforcement officers, searchers, first responders. It's the nearest point of access to where the bodies of Abby and Libby are found. And we're supposed to believe they didn't find those bodies. What? Well, then here's a question. Why were they parked in the cemetery? You would expect that they parked in the cemetery once someone says, hey guys, we found some bodies. We found the bodies. Then everyone comes and parks in the cemetery and walks straight down to the crime scene. I mean, let's rationalize, let's reverse engineer it in a rational way. No one finds the bodies, okay? So no one's there. People are scattered here and there looking. Someone finds the bodies and radios in or calls in and says, we found the bodies. Then everyone comes and parks in the cemetery and walks right down to the crime scene. Okay, then the question arises, well, why did they lie about it? Why would they lie about how and when the bodies were found? And the timeline of it all. Why is the timeline so fucked up? I mean, here's one thing to think about. Because this just occurred to me too, because of the troll farm. So let's talk about this. I'm trying to pull it up so I can read them to you. Just a moment. You're going to love this, trust me. I mean, justice was not served. You get it? Justice is not served for Abby and Libby. It's absolute travesty of justice. Um, let's see if I can read this for you. Because you guys are going to get very angry. Okay. So I can't find it to read to you specifically. Unfortunately, I wasn't prepared with this, but I'll talk about it. It's pointless to waste the time doing that. So what did the jury want to review? Now keep in mind, I believe you had some holdouts who said, no, he's not guilty. He's not guilty. So what transpired? So those wanting to convince those others who were of the opinion that they were not going to find him guilty, they said, we can prove to you it's his voice. Because remember, Harshman was allowed to say, although he's not an expert, that it's Richard Allen's voice. So I think what happened is the jury bullies are trying to convince the ones who are leaning not guilty. And they're saying, no, we're going to get a unanimous verdict. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to prove to you that it's Allen's voice. So let's get the enhanced recording and let's get the interrogation videos. And we're going to compare the voice of Richard Allen in the interrogation room to the enhanced Bridge Guy audio. And I think that's what happened. Well, what's odd about that? Well, I'll tell you what's odd about that. That the troll farm knew about it in real time. How do we know that? Well, we have the receipts. We have the receipts. And the story comes down that Becky Patty had a dinner for the troll farm. At the dinner of the troll farm, someone learned the details of what the jury was asking for. Now, how would they know? Question for all of you out there. How would they know? How would a troll farm member learn from Becky Patty's dinner what the jury was asking to review? Think hard about it. Think hard about it. Is it appropriate that someone in the troll farm at the Becky Patty troll farm dinner learned details of what the jury was asking for further review in their deliberations? So how did Becky Patty or someone else at the Patty dinner, how did someone learn what the jury was asking for to review? Okay, which leads me to believe that the jury reached a unanimous guilty verdict by those who were not guilty leaning, being bullied into flipping to guilty using the comparison of the altered, enhanced audio to the interrogation videos. And questions that remain unanswered. Jury selection. Who were the phones in the geofencing? Who was the young man standing at Teresa Liebert's mailbox? Okay, that's 4. Who else was in the geofencing that wasn't directly at the crime scene, but in the general area of the trails? Who had access to the victim's phone through iCloud? Who was talking to the jurors at the hotel? Which boys were these girls supposed to be meeting out there at the trails that day? What did Kelsey delete from Libby's account and possibly accounts and possibly Abby's accounts? What did Kelsey delete? Why didn't either of those girls, when the story is that they were killed by a lone wolf killer with a bladed weapon or weapons, why did neither of the girls have a single defensive wound? Not a single defensive wound. 2 girls killed by knife. What about the unknown male DNA on their bodies and under their fingernails? What about the dark web? What about their crime scene photos allegedly being posted on the dark web for more than 2 years before the leaks? What about the Roblox reenactment, so to speak, of the crime? What about the alleged photos taken of them before they were killed? What about the missing Abby photo? What about the missing photos in general? How is Libby only going to take one photo of an empty bridge in 2017 with an iPhone? Two little teenage girls going out there to take pictures? And you got one confirmed photo of an empty bridge? You got a secondary, apparently photoshopped image floating out there on the internet. When's the last proof of life? What do we really know about that alleged selfie taken in the car on the ride to the trails? What are those girls wearing, and why the sweaters? Why the sweater stories? And why try to explain Derek at Wilson Bridge? And oh, speaking of Derek, what about the whole story with Anna versus Derek picking them up on the day before? Who brought them? Who picked them up? Who brought them where? Who had the girls in their car the day before? Yes, Abby and Libby. And why did everyone out there seem to be taking photos to place themselves at particular places at particular? Remember, I said every one of those witnesses was playing out an IRL, a LARPing. They were LARPing. They were out there pretending to be visiting the trails, in my opinion, but they were really out there to go out there and take pictures at certain places at certain points to establish this narrative. I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be reading these. Okay. Why set up Richard Allen? Yeah, why Richard? What about Richard? Was he smurfing out pseudoephedrine? I mean, I keep coming back to that thought. Was Richard Allen using his access to pseudoephedrine at CBS to smurf that shit out? And is that his connection to these all these fucking meth heads? Is that how they knew to set him up? Did he wrong somebody in this cartel? One of the cooks, one of the smurfs, one of the dealers? Did they want his daughter? Was his daughter threatened? Did he not comply with allowing them to take his daughter? Or, like, what's really going on? Because we all know there's a deeper story here. What's the deeper story? There's a deeper story with Richard Allen, I guarantee you. Anna Williams knew Ron Logan, Brad Holder, Pat Westfall, Gabe Ellis, and Derek German. She most likely slept with them all, and she bought meth from Derek. Oh, you were saying that 15 minutes ago. Yeah, did they want Rick to steal shit so they could make meth and he refused? I don't something's going on. I'm telling you, there's a deeper story here that we don't know yet. We need Richard to tell us, we need Kathy to tell us, we need the daughter to tell us, we need the Patties to tell us. Someone got to tell us what's really going on with Richard Allen. No, you can't assume that he's not connected to any of them. You can't assume that. That's a bad assumption to make. Don't assume that he didn't know them. There's something going on here. Eric Williams said he searched where their bodies were found during the night and they weren't there. Yes. And he said, I'm a country boy and I'm here to tell you. Okay. Yeah. And why? Another question. Why did the prosecution choose to only use Rayleigh Voorhees, Bree Wilbur, and Sarah Carbaugh? Why? Think of how many people were there. Okay, you guys out there in this world, you need to fucking think. You need to open your minds and critically think. All the people who were known to be out there, and they only used 3? Whole thing is like a Twilight Zone movie. Whole thing is hard to believe. 25 state and federal agencies couldn't solve the case for over 5 years until the 75-year-old bingo lady, Freemason, solved it. Kathy Shank, family friend and proud supporter of Tony Liggett for sheriff, magically stumbled into the tip and will likely receive the reward money. And if she receives the reward money, is there some deal? Does she have to give half of it to someone else? What's the deal with the reward money? Is that how she was? Okay. Fire chief stated he blanketed the area 3 times and asked Mullen if he could put a check mark, and Mullen agreed. Why is Mullen at the center of this anyway? Thank you, Heather Brown. Heather Brown says, just reminding myself to like. So reminding you, please hit the like. And thanks for the super chat. Please hit the super chat. Everyone, we need your support. I need some things for the channel. I need your support. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the cash apps. Please, if you are going to support, send a cash app in lieu of anything else. The cash app takes the absolute smallest percentage compared to the super chats, the super thanks, and the buy me a coffee and everything. So please send a cash app. We have a little cash app address somewhere on the channel. But thank you to Dark Arts by Adrian for the $5 super chat. Corner Piece for the $5 super chat. Rebecca Ann, $5 super chat. Cat the Doggy Hunter, $5 super chat. And Heather Brown for $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Okay. She found what everybody else couldn't find in a desk drawer in a box. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm watching, trust me, I'm watching very closely this thing in Kentucky. But before I cover it, I'm waiting for more because you know there's more. You know there's more to the story we haven't heard yet. Right. I would love to tell you the story, but today is not that day. Okay. So it's possible they gaslit the fuck out of Dan and he just went along with it. That's what you have to do if you want to survive. Hi, I'm watching from Manchester, England. The search party looked staged. Mike Patty was smirking, and so was Abby's mom when appealing for their daughters. Yes, I remember. I remember that. Something's just fucking crazy over here. Meth heads were probably federal informants, or at least Derek. At least Derek. Pretty sure Derek was. And you probably had a few local informants in the mix. How many informants were in this mix? They all had important players and networks all searching their two copters in place and everybody else searching everywhere else, not even with an Amber Alert. Why don't all crimes get that? Yeah, like I'm saying, it's absolutely obvious. A call was made. We found the girls. Come on. And then all the vehicles come into the cemetery and then they all walk down there right to it. It's obvious. Why would it be anything else? They deliberately said interviews are gone because they would have led them in a different direction other than Richard. And this one right here needs a round of applause because, in my opinion, the reason the 70 days are missing is because of this right here. 70 days are probably missing because those particular interviews would lead to something else. They were exculpatory. They needed them to disappear, to go away. They could not have those. There was something in each of those 70 days that had to disappear. What was it? Okay. What could have been exculpatory that had to lead that had to be deleted in order to continue to railroad Richard Allen? Just leads you to believe that something in each of those 70 days pointed away from Richard Allen. Therefore, they needed to delete the 70 days. And why delete? What did the marathon footage point to? Why did that have to be deleted? Remember, I've told you before, I think something shady was going on at Riley Park. So did the marathon reveal something about what was going on at Riley Park? Also, are you trying to make me believe that no one else in the entire town of Delphi had a camera? What about other trail cameras? So no one else in Delphi had a single camera, and no one else, there were no other trail cameras, there were no other ring cameras, there were no security cameras. So no one in the entire town of Delphi had a camera except the harvest store and one trail camera. Do we really believe that? The question I have is why Derek was at Wilson Bridge and not High Bridge. He knew something no one else knew. Yeah, that they were fucking at Wilson Bridge. Pardon my language. Mhm. No, I didn't, Christina. Christina, what did tell me? Tell me, Christina. What did they say? Reward money can be held if there's an appeal or if given out can be revoked if the defendant is found not guilty. I don't know how it works in Indiana, but that's what Google says. They're hiding the fact that all of LE were involved with the murders, sexual assaults, and staging. Sounds right. Sounds absolutely correct. Like I said, the searchers are the criminals. The witnesses are the lookouts. There are laws in Indiana. Really? Because it appears that there's no law in Indiana other than the cartel controls everything. Yeah, Photoshop timestamps confirmed on the Abbey on the Bridge photo, and the troll farm still wants you to believe that that's an actual thing because they say, well, some of Libby's and Abby's friends screenshot it. "2 a.m. time of death. Crime scene access and staging began. Power play starts. Ellie folds and concedes to the narrative. Staging completed. Girls found. The question has to be, who holds the power? Yeah. Who called the shots? My question is, who called the shots in this whole thing? Who called the shots to move and stage the bodies, to perform a perimeter, cordon off the area, allow this all to take place? Then who called the shots about when to allow the bodies to be found? Okay. Okay. Christina says Carter was bad mouthing a judge for giving a man bail, and the Bar Association came out and publicly wanted DC thinks we should punish citizens using bail. Phone records solved the case years later. Yeah, well, question. What about the family cell phones in Delphi? In my opinion, the whole town knew what was going on, even Kathy. We need people to talk. I mean, basically, we need people to talk. Christina, why do so much slack and the in-depth investigation and prosecution, none whatsoever to defense? No one else think that's odd. Wait till someone you love gets screwed and locked up forever. A good researcher found out about 70 people visited the trails that day, but we've only heard less than 20. Suspicious. Yeah, we heard 3. What the fuck? That's what I'm saying. What is it about the 3? Okay, so Betsy Blair, Rayleigh Voorhees, Sarah Carbon, really? There were more people than that. Come on. I mean, are those the 3 who you could stitch together and make Richard Allen guilty? I mean, what about Shelby Hicks, Shelby Duncan, Cheyenne, Daniel Pearson, for starters? Collier, Herrera, Mata, the 3 girls. Hmm? They were all there at the time this was allegedly taking place. Where's all of their shit? Let's count those again. Hicks, Duncan, Cheyenne, Daniel Pearson, Collier, Herrera, Mata. That's 7. That's 7 right there. What about those 7? Why did everyone have cameras? There's McCain also had a camera. I wonder if sextortion happened to Rick Allen's daughter and Rick Allen showed up to confront someone about it. Was his daughter targeted? Yeah, we don't know anything about their doings of that day. That's just what I'm saying. So much we don't know. So much has been hidden. There's a wall of secrecy around this case. The wall of secrecy around this case is intentional. It's to keep things obscured. I always felt his job had something to do with him being a patsy. Sudafed was put under the counter here in Australia. When was it put on the counter? Well, it's a certain process, but I've always said that CVS had a really big problem. All the pharmacies had a problem with the regulating of pseudoephedrine, especially at this time, say from 2010 to 2018. That time was transitional, and CVS was sued millions and millions and millions of dollars in the course of multiple lawsuits because of their lack of controls of pseudoephedrine during this very time period. So it's not impossible, okay? Everyone appreciates the input you've applied, but at the end of the day, we're going back to February 13, 2017, or the 12th. I actually bring it back to the 12th. Kash Patel is the man everyone should contact after January 20th. You can start contacting him now. Like I said, letters need to go to everyone, for real. Letters need to go to your representatives, your senators, your governors, your congressman, your head of FBI, your local FBI field offices, your vice president, your president. Letters, you write one great letter that you write yourself and start sending it to everyone. Okay. Hmm. That sounds incredible. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Asked a drug trafficker. They hadn't heard about the case. I told them what happened to the girls, and they said, "Did they know any informants that snitched?" I mean, it is the most likely assumption you can make. I mean, it's Occam's razor when applied to the Delphi murders. The family has ruined and destroyed a lot of lives and families with their drugs, cheating, addicting, dealing, manufacturing, and snitching, and have never gave a fuck about none of them. And I don't think they gave a fuck about the girls. Cops asked me to come do an interview. I said, I don't even remember applying for a job. He says, that sounds like payback for snitching. Yeah, sure does, doesn't it? And the rumors have been out there since day one. That's what I'm saying. This is nothing new. None of this is new. There's nothing new here. It's not new. Come on. How can we make sure Ellie are held accountable for losing evidence? There are laws that require it to be preserved properly. Mullen knew their video system was crap. There should have been consequences. 70 days deleted. Yeah, where's the Andersons footage? Gabe was busted with trail cams. True. Where are they? True. And night vision, possibly. I believe the girls were loaded up in an ambulance before the chopper showed up, which is what Erskine said. He said that they found the girls closer to 10. Yes, he did. I have the recording. The feds don't come in with the special investigators and prosecutors. Eventually, that'll confirm the corruption goes even higher. How long will it take? Am I an hour behind in the chat? Oh no, I'll have to read faster. Skip some. They sell that small town everybody knows everybody bullshit, but until and unless you start speaking out and standing up, if it doesn't align, you're the enemy and are crazy. Whatever needs to be gone is gone. Good point. And it ain't coming back. Everybody always says question the family first, but hell, they was allowing the town to taint evidence, create timeline, change stories over and over, create the grid that lead the search, and on and on. FBI should have their own work product, even if they had to send evidence back to Carol. So if they interviewed Kelsey numerous times, they should have those interviews as well as many others. Interviews, DNA, fingerprints, hard drives, all gone, 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 gone. Yeah, I don't know why the defense did anything they did. Trust me. Anything they did or didn't do, I don't have a crystal ball. I have no clue why the defense did or didn't do whatever they did or didn't. Cameras could have been a way to let other know the coast was clear. They were shared. I do not know if they were shared. Okay. Yeah, true. True story. True. I know. No time of death. But why did Ives say those bodies they were found so immediately after? Stomach content? Wasn't Betsy the one that left around the time Libby's phone stopped? Almost like they got into a car. Betsy supposedly went to the bathroom at yeah. The whole Betsy story is fucking weird. Mm. Meth is so cheap that Rick Allen being a part of smurfing is highly unlikely. Kathy would have known something. That's not the point. That's not the point. So it's not any kind of all of this rationalization that you guys try to do. Don't bother me whatsoever. Okay, I know that Rick could have been handling the pseudoephedrine. He could have been facilitating it. If he was, it would explain why the Smurfs freaked the fuck out when I brought it up. Okay, so you want to know why it concerns me? Because when I first speculated or brought this up, the Smurfs freaked out. The troll farm does nothing by accident. Okay. Hmm. Don't worry. There's another file cabinet with the guy's wrong name cleared on it that's going to clear this whole thing up. Soviet Big Mommy. Still trying to comprehend the whole entire case. Well, good luck with that. That'll take forever. Um, I've been believing lies until I saw your channel. Cricket Day, you're not understanding what I'm saying. See that you're not understanding. No, you're not. You're not understanding what I'm saying. I don't want to argue, but I've already presented it before. I'm not going to go back over it. Okay. CBS had a horrible problem regulating pseudoephedrine with their process, and I know there was a process, but that's why they were sued for millions and millions and millions of dollars. And if you have a way to get it before it comes into the store, it's even easier. So I'm only saying, like, I'm not arguing with anyone. No one trying to clear. I don't care if you're trying to clear Rick Allen's name. Okay, that's not my intention. My intention is 100% truth. Okay, my alarms went off when I mentioned this idea, and a Smurf, a known Smurf, lost its mind, which signaled to me that that Smurf who had Smurfed in Rick's store possibly was revealing to me that that's something I shouldn't be discussing, which is why I continuously discuss it. I don't care who likes it or not. Every box it was not accounted for. If every box was accounted for, CBS would have never had to pay millions of dollars in lawsuits. Sorry. I'm not over here to like make excuses for Rick. If Rick was handing out Sudafed to the fucking Smurfs and that's how he's tied to these people, then I want to know it. And you should want to know it too. We want the whole truth about all of this. Okay. And since we're on that, I'll also tell you I had another source contact me and say Rick was a runner for one of the motorcycle clubs, which kind of adds up. If he's a runner for the motorcycle clubs, that would make sense if he's helping with the Sudafed. So it's something to consider. We're not going to make Rick a fucking saint over here. We want the whole truth about the Delphi murders, period. No matter what it means for anyone. Erskine is on the board for Libby and Abby. Here are your people: Patty, Corbin, Dillman, Williams, Weaver, Gibson. Oh, the names: Kincaid, Patty, oh, Erskine, Stanley. Wow. Wow. Oh, that just burns just the right way, criminal network. That just burns just the right way. And hey, remember, listen, regarding this comment, remember what Robert Fortson said before he blew his own head off. He said he found these pictures on the dark web in a very evil, dark place. I have a question for you about Fortson. What was he doing in a very evil, dark place on the dark web? Like I said, I don't care what the truth means about the Delphi murders. I want all the truth. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Jury asked for the enhanced, yes, which makes you wonder how the F they are allowed to even have anything but the original 43-second video. Yes. And how were they use it? How were they able to use it to bully the jurors who were not convinced of his guilt into flipping and agreeing to his guilt? They would never disclose if Rick was suspected of skimming for meth. That would expose them all. That's why they didn't go that avenue. Agree with you. Also, just because Rick was a runner doesn't make him a murderer. No, I'm not saying, listen, I've already said very clearly, I don't believe Rick had anything to do with the murders of Abby and Libby. But what I'm getting at is if he's connected to this people in this manner, then that would explain his connection to these people. Are you going to forget that you saw a photo of Brenda Marchand with Kathy Allen? Are you going to forget that you saw that? Are you going to forget that they all frequented the same bar? They were all bar rats at JC's? You going to just forget that? I mean, let's be honest here. I agree. I do not think he's part of something involving. I do think he's part of something. This is what I'm saying. If he has a connection to these people, it's understandable that he has a connection to these people. It doesn't mean he had anything to do with killing Libby and Abby or doing the whole gaslight troll farm narrative that he's the one who chased Libby and Abby across the bridge, down the hill, across the creek, and killed them right there because he wanted to SA them. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that potentially he has these connections to some of these people. You know what I believe is the Kokomo crew killed those girls. Okay, sorry. If Rick is guilty of something, it doesn't mean he killed the girls and he didn't deserve what happened. Well, exactly. Like look, have you forgotten that I've been out here for a year advocating about due process? Come on, man. Do you think that his torture in Westville was acceptable? No. Do you think that he should have been threatened? His wife and daughter should have been threatened. His mother should have been threatened. He should have been starved and kept in solitary for fucking 13 months. No, 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 no. Coerced confessions. No, no, no. Forcibly medicated. No, 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 no. I'm just saying, if we can't talk like fucking honestly, then let's get out of here. What are we even doing in here? Mm-hmm. Okay. Becky sees flashlights. Where? She said she went to the PD right at dark, didn't leave till after midnight, went home, and the next day. Indy Cindy, are you critically thinking? A weaver is the one that has the stolen satanic shit from a cabin around Carroll County and friends with the white power crowd, has been giving money to Joey Atkins in jail, saying there's a hit on R. Nobody, nothing. Would you email me that story you're trying to tell? I don't understand this story you're telling, but would you email me the details? Cody lived two doors down from Richard and Alan, Richard, Kathy, and his daughter at some point in time. Yes. Agree. Please reread my statement. I was saying if he was a runner, it means. Yeah, I know what you were saying. It's the 43-second. The real one is so heroic. Why didn't the jury, court, and judge see that it was Richard Allen? Case closed. You couldn't see Bridge Guy or hear his voice. Diener said Becky saw flashlights near her home. Really? On her way home from PD? Didn't check to see if that was Abby. Good. Thank you, Shay. In high school, Rick's nickname was Oompa Loompa, and when he got jumped into Delphi, they called him Young Smurf. What's up, Amy? Yeah, it seems no one seems to know him if they're all lying. Every time a live comes on, my house turns into Grand Central Station or turns into the Monin High Bridge at 3 p.m. on 213. Yeah, all kind of people, but no one will admit to being there. Eric is not related to Anna. They have the same last name. Yes, no pretrial detainee should be imprisoned in a max security prison and called a baby killer 24/7 and abused and medicated and put in solitary. All of that shit, right? It's against all human rights to be treated as a pretrial detainee the way he's been treated. I mean, it's even against human rights for prisoners. Prisoners' sentence is their punishment. The way that they're held should not be. You get it? Support pathways. Thank you. Please support the channel. All right. Thank you, Amy. Oh man, I feel like I'm grumpy tonight. I'm telling you, I'm not feeling well and on Benadryl. BG had two legs, and so did Rick. It's so obvious who the killer is, folks. He painted an F in blood because he was a pharmacist. Case closed. Yes, if you take every logical fallacy you can ball up together and you apply it to Rick Allen, yes, he's the Delphi murderer. That's what Troll Farm does. Remember? Oh, he looks like a killer. She also said the flashlights were like stars in the sky, you know? Thanks, Prof and Company. It all needs to come out. Yes, I agree with all. We're all on one accord. I'm just grumpy. I'm sorry. It's the Benadryl. It makes me grumpy. I noticed when I was younger and my other kid was younger, uh, Benadryl made me grumpy as a dad. It made me a grumpy dad. A fantastic pharmacist. I am so dehydrated. You see me suffering. Fucking Benadryl, man. Okay. Signed confessions from a harsh interrogation to get thrown out. Imagine months of mental torture. Threats to your family, but still valid. Yes, exactly. Well, that's why people have a problem with coerced confessions. No one likes coerced confessions, right? Okay. I might have to take a break just to get hydrated. Jesus. Can I ask about Westerman? Yes. Was it intentional? Yes. To delay court? No. To have the lawyers kicked off. And notice Westerman's reward, right? He gets all charges dropped, he gets record expunged like it never ever happened. And all you got in the meantime is a dead guy. Remember, even Libredo said he didn't think Mr. Allen killed the girl. That's huge. Girls. Yes, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Libredo, I'd love to have him on here. Somebody please connect me with Mr. Libredo, please. But I mean, the evidence speaks for itself in his shocked look on his face in the interview during which he proclaimed one girl was murdered and one girl was sacrificed. Benadryl makes you jittery. What the hell's wrong with you? Benadryl makes me anything but jittery. Benadryl makes me sleepy and grumpy because I can't be asleep. Like now, I should be asleep, and since I'm not, I'm grumpy. Yes, I do need some Gatorade, Tinkerbell. Thank you. Let's see. I'm always disappointed when people disregard constitutional rights for some people. The USA has rights for all. People truly don't realize how invaluable our rights are. It's the only reason that the US is the place that it is. We're extremely wealthy here, even when we're broke. Thank you, Tinkerbell. I do need something. I think I'm going to take a 5 minute break and go get some water. And then we'll end it soon, honestly. Nancy Disgrace is a piece of crap. You know, she's a disgrace. She's only there to back the blue, no matter what it means. He purposely went on a hunger strike to lose weight so he didn't look like Bridge Guy. No, maybe because they were pissing and shitting in his food and possibly poisoning it. Let's get it right, Nancy Drew. I mean, Nancy Disgrace. Libretto looked scared to talk, but did it anyways. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And hey, I hope Todd Click does, because you see what they tried to do to Click. You see what they tried to do to Click. Come on, man. You know that was a whole setup. You know, it was a whole setup. And I hope to talk to Click. I want to talk to Click. Okay, hold on a minute. Okay, we'll make this quick. Indy Cindy, it's what you call the paradoxical effect. Like some people drink coffee and it makes them tired. You guys, something. Yes, Labredo was Rick's attorney for a brief time after insane Judge Gall forced Baldwin and Rozzi to remove themselves, and before the Supreme Court reinstated them. Nancy Disgrace is part of Troll Farm. She was MSM Troll Farm prior to social media. I never considered anything wrong with me. All this time I thought it was everybody else. Yeah, Nancy Drew. I didn't mean you. I'm all brain foggy right now. Okay. She's garbage. Yes. And Labredo said all of that, and yet it still didn't move the needle in the media. Not one bit. Yeah. It's nuts. Okay, guys. Let's see where we are. He said Gall was the best judge on the case. What the fuck? I think we need to speak with him now that it's all done. Okay. Let's ask him now. Okay. All right. Has there been any talks of appeals? Oh, yes, indeed. Are you being silly? Are you being silly there? Okay. Yes, after sentencing, you're right. Yes. I was shook when Libredo said that. It literally sent shivers down my spine. Me too. Me too. And I suggest I've played it here before. I could get it ready and do it. I'm not going to go through all of that, but we'll look at it again someday because the look on his face combined with what he says will send shivers down your spine. Okay. It looks like he was horrified. Mullen or Holman tried to swat YouTubers. So are we all getting a PI license and doing nationwide investigation or what? Because I'm ready. I'm ready, Indy Cindy. Okay, let's do it. They're asking us not to believe our eyes or minds. Yes. Christina, that was Holman. Yes. Allegedly. Allegedly. Okay. There you go. You fixed it. Sweet dude should be fixed it. You fixed it, Sweet dude should be. Nancy F face. Okay. Good. He needs investigative woman, especially for pinging her phone and the SWAT. Libredo still has to try cases in front of Judge Go. So, oh, good point there. He probably won't talk to us, but he was shook. He was shook for real. I mean, they sacrificed the girl to cover up for the murder of the other one. In other words, they decided to take advantage of a bad situation. Libredo resonated with me because he absolutely didn't need to do that and in no way benefited him, yet he put his neck out there. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Super psyched. You're in the right spot. You're very welcome here. We're very welcome here. We love new people. Okay. They think it's over. No, it's Walla 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 Walla. Wallaby. 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 I'm going to get myself a wallaby. Okay. Did I see that Philip Klein was former bodyguard for Brian Thompson? No, I didn't know that. But I know that Tell you what, Philip Klein got to the bottom of the goddamn Dior case. I'm not going to say about Dior. I've already done a lot of baby Dior's if you go back in time and watch them. Clearly, my opinion is that the family lied. Okay, the family lied about baby Dior. I believe he's dead. There's no live baby Dior. Baby Dior is dead. He was buried. The family lied, and they got caught. The sheriff caught him. Klein and his team caught him. Everybody knows what happened, but it's not prosecuted for some reason. And they were probably, they were meth heads. Come on, let's be real. Can we be real? Okay. I've been lurking. What's up, Mother McReady? There's just so much to know. I'm getting too old for this much memory storage. You're like my laptop. Okay. All right. Yeah, they're glad they didn't get the case. They didn't want that damn case. Okay. Get well soon, Mother. Indy Cindy, what up? Okay, thanks for the super chat. I'm so glad. Stop by my YouTube channel later. I'm gonna start putting some videos out there. Do it. That's your channel there. Yeah, thanks, Heather. Link her channel. Would someone in the other channel do it too on the small channel? Put the link up for Indy Cindy on both channels. I think we're all in the same boat. They sacrificed one and murdered the other. Yes. Like I said, I think they chose to sacrifice one to take advantage of a bad situation. It's my assumption. Hello, everyone. I'm pretty late to the party, but glad to be here nonetheless. Do you think the new director at the FBI might get them moving to delve into Delphi? I think the new director at the FBI is going to make them pursue cases in every field office the way that they should be. So, yes, probably. Flush out human trafficking, drug trafficking, and protecting of the criminal network. Okay. Thank you, Heather. Okay. All right, so I'm done. I am really tired. Sorry I couldn't last tonight. But yeah, please subscribe to Indy Cindy and Rick Snay and Adrian. Her channel's called In Light in the Dark. All right. I don't see a place for Cash App. Look at the top of the chat. Where are you, Neobi? Oh, you're in the other channel? Oh no, Neobi. Let me send it to you, Neobi. Let me see. Come on, man. I'm struggling here. Can I just ask Amy? Amy, would you put the Cash App or maybe Kayla? Let's see. I'm moving in slow motion. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you. Okay, that's it. Let's do that. Pin. There you go, Neobi. I pinned it at the top of the chat. Yeah, I'm in slow motion tonight. So thanks, everybody. Let's see. Oh, War Lion as well. Yeah. Let me see. Jessica Gilman, thank you. I used to live in Delphi. Wow. I can absolutely say it's all very real. I'm fortunate to survive, no joke. Horrible things I went through. Tell me more, Jessica, please. Or email me. We love you, Jessica. Welcome here. And thanks for the super chat. But wow, I'd love to hear you from you. So glad you're here. Okay. Yes, we want to hear about it, Jessica. Okay, get some rest and feel better. I will do. Yes, sir. Spike Dog. Mhm. Good night, Jeremiah. Yeah, I encourage you. Not long ago, I said everybody should make channels if you feel up to it. If you feel up to doing YouTube, make a channel. If you don't like YouTube, make a Facebook group or, do what you can do. Yeah, Warlion, Warlion's channel. Warlion AASB. All right. Thank you, Stay Crafted. See you. Everybody's sick. Oh, maybe a lot of people are getting a little bug. But I feel okay. It's just I've been dealing with various allergies and stuff. Yes, Adrian, I subscribe to her channel. Love it. Thank you. Yes. What is it called? In Light in the Dark. Great to see everyone. Great to see you, Christina. I always promote those channels I enjoy and have the very best content. All right. I will certainly email you. Thank you, Jessica. I will love to have your email. Okay. Good night, Christina. Hey, thanks everyone for being here. Yeah, thank you, Heather. Oh, you have the paradoxical, so you get hype with Benadryl, Lisa? That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Jepsy. Is that a Korg Triton? No, it's not. I don't have a Korg Triton. I don't know which one you're asking about, though. This one is a Moog Subsequent 25 right here. All right. It's a bass machine or a lead machine. Okay. All those channels are amazing. Hey, Mama Bear. Thank you for being here. All right. What's up, Mary Martin? As an Indiana resident, I will say this. We aren't done with this case. I hear more people talking about it than ever before. People are waking up. Keep getting the truth out there. Thank you, Stay Crafted. Please share the channel with those locals. We love locals here, the nice ones. We love the locals, though. They so many call me and email me on a daily basis. It's just been amazing. All the locals reaching out. And hey, if we understand anything, it's because of the locals reaching out. So thank you so much. Okay. Oh, the other one? I mean, this one? This one up here is a Waldorf Blofeld. Waldorf Blofeld. I like it for two reasons. This one up here, it's a good digital synth. It's easy to use and has beautiful digital sounds, but it's also an amazing MIDI controller because it has a FATAR keyboard and it feels incredible. And it's made of solid metal, so it's very sturdy. So I love the Blofeld. And then down at the bottom, I have an Osmos down here. Those are some of my keyboards. Yeah, I do feel sorry for the locals who live in that culture of fear, but we're changing it. Okay, we're changing it. We're um, transform this culture of fear into a culture of fearlessness. Cart, you're live on the upright. Very cool and jazzy, impressive. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the upright I play different. I got to say this. The upright is a completely different instrument than the keyboards. So I play them different. The upright play a lot. The keyboards I play delicately because it's more about the sound than the keys. But yeah. Sometimes I hear y'all talking about stuff here and I even more revelation of my own experiences. Like, wait, what? All right. It would be awesome if the good Delphi residents found this platform as a safe place. It is. This is their place. Like I say, man, half of what I say comes from them. I haven't done all that. How would I know? How would I know? I talk to a lot of locals who are nice, wonderful locals. I wish every normal in Delphi to move the F out. Okay. You agree on the piano versus the keys? Yeah, it's total different approach. Total different. Getting sleepy myself. Hope you start feeling better. All right. Thank you guys so much. What's up, Tracy Thornton? Yeah, please hit the replay. You'll love it. We go into a brief discussion of the carbon copy West Memphis 3 and why I believe the troll farm has adhered to it to try to promote it as a guilty because they want to do this. They want you to believe Rick Allen is guilty as charged, just like they want you to believe the West Memphis 3 is guilty as charged when they're both like carbon copy shit shows. So, whole other story though. All right. I am trustworthy because I love you guys. You can talk about it on my channel. Thank you, Mama Bear. Okay. I seem down. I'm not down. I'm not down. I'm tired and I'm on Benadryl. It makes me not feel that well. Someone from Delphi said they didn't even hear about the murders, or someone from Indiana. That's weird. Okay. All right, you guys. Woman never fear. Bubs is always here. Well, we're out of here. Good night to everyone. Delphi, the West Memphis 3 connection. And it was good to talk to you. Today's been December 8th, Sunday. It's been a Sunday. Nice Sunday. And we get the week started again tomorrow. So it'll be good to get back to normal tomorrow. If you're on the replay, please do not neglect to leave a comment. We love your comments. So please leave some comments down below. If you're interested in the case, have something to add, email me. Okay, if you want to support the channel, please hit the Cash App. It's pinned at the top of the chat here. Right there is the Cash App. Please hit the Cash App. Appreciate it very much. Hit the like and all that. And please be extra super nice to my chat members and the people in the comment section. Okay, as long as you're nice, we're happy for all the input. And that's it. That's the show. So God bless you all. And God bless Libby and Abby. Okay. Pray for each other. Pray for justice. And hide your kids. Hide your wife. All right. Good night. We'll see you guys later. Good night, everybody. Mama Bear, Mino Dino, Indy Cindy, Spike Dog, Corner Piece, Amy, Kayla, MSW88, 5 Green Acres, Heather Brown, Sweet Do Shibby, Jessica Gilman, Mino Dino, Woman Doing, For Baby Daddy, Trial Junkie, Veronica, Super Psych, Tracy Thornton, Who's Your Daddy, Mr. Camarado, Nobody Nothing, and everyone else who was here earlier. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, let me especially thank the supporters. Dark Arts by Adrian, Corner Piece, Rebecca Ann 1965, Cat the Dog Hunter, Heather Brown, Indy Cindy, Jessica Gilman, and everyone else. And if anyone sent me a Cash App, thank you so much, or buy me a coffee. Thank you for sending support that way as well. I'm not going to name you to protect your privacy, but thanks for all the support and all the nice super chats and all of this stuff. Okay. We love you. We love you. Goodbye. Whoops. See you guys later.